chipper and to be a good conversationalist.
Awesome. Well, good morning.
So good to see you in person.
Likewise.
And
Likewise.
the last 2 hours I've been watching a lot of your videos and your audio, and so it put me in the sort of a very relaxing mood to begin with. Like, I'm like, holy shit, this is going to put me back to sleep and I need to be up and I'm a game.
Well, maybe this will just be what it is.
All right.
Maybe it'll be a little up and a little down.
Yeah, let's send it to me. So Erik Ireland, I'm just going to read what I wrote about. I think I stripped it straight from your Instagram. You're a queer mountain grandpa with bedtime stories until mindfulness and a real support that meets you where you are. That's you.
That is my Instagram bio right there.
Yeah, and it's so funny because we chatted a little bit and we sort of, there's cats. We were sort of in each other's. Yeah, we were sort of in each other's peripheral when I lived in the San Francisco in the Bay Area. We were sort of acquaintances. We probably met before that we didn't even know, like with mutual friends or out and about. And then I left San Francisco a while back, and then through the power of social media, I saw you online and I was like, wait, who's a sexy Papa Smurf? Who is sexy Papa Smurf? And he is preaching this beautiful, calm life. And that I just
sexy Papa Smurf preacher.
Yes, sexy Papa Smurf preacher.
So
and then I was like,
fast.
Yeah, and then I was like, wait. I peeled it back and I was like, wait, I recognize him. Yes, his name's Erik. And then I was like, I have to reach out because I stalked your social media and your Instagram, and like I didn't know anything. You know, when you know someone's like face from living in the same city or seeing them at the gym for 10 years, but you know nothing about them. Mm-hmm. And so when I found you just recently again, I saw your Instagram and I was like, I have to talk to this guy.
Well, and I'm so glad you did, because that's pretty much the same story about you. I knew you from your Accidental Bear blog.
Sure.
And just sort of mutual friends that we had. I don't remember actually ever meeting in person, but like you said, I'm sure we probably did at some point. Yeah. Lord knows I was in the Bay Area for a very long time.
Same.
Yeah, so it was through the Accidental Bear blog, and then I think, God, what was it, like 10 years ago? I saw you doing an interview with a friend of mine in a bathtub.
Okay, that makes right? sense. That makes sense. For a hot minute, I don't know. There's been so many different me's in my life, and for a hot minute through the site and the blog, I was doing bathtub interviews. I was just actually doing a regular interview, but we just happened to be naked in the bathtub.
I thought that was such a fun idea. I loved that. I loved that whole thing.
And so you're a man, or however you identify, and you're in a cabin with dogs and cats.
That is correct. Yes.
And what location are you? Are you still like sort of up near the Guerneville area? Or am I making that up?
I'm a little further north of there. Yeah, little further north of there. I don't like to talk about exactly where I live.
Oh, of course,
because
privacy and stuff like that. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. But Northern California.
20 miles from the coast and about 3.5 hours north of San Francisco.
That's amazing. That's a beautiful spot. Do you actually have people that would stalk? I feel like anybody that puts something online, especially if they have a large following, they have people that sort of become, I don't want to say obsessive, but obsessed. But
I have to say, no, I'm pretty lucky there.
Okay.
I mean, I have had, because I'm out to so many people.
Yeah.
And in the current political climate, that's, reason for hostility for some people. But no, I have to say I'm pretty lucky.
Okay.
The vast majority of my followers are millennial and Gen X women, and they are very cool.
Cool. I love that.
And I adore them, and they respect my privacy, and we have a great thing going.
I love that because I named this podcast Fear and Ordinary Life, and I focus on queer men or gay men and doing things outside the box, or maybe not being so cookie cutter. I come across as being I'm afraid sometimes I come across as hating the gay community. I'm not. I feel like I'm just older and a little bit bitter and sort of bored with mainstream culture. And also living in San Francisco could really burn you out on being out and proud and gay. There's just so many marches, so many prides, so many. I feel like I shot my load, and I just have all my pride, and I just am spent. Yeah, and so when I see men like yourself people like yourself doing things that are like sort of outside the box and just a little bit like, I don't know, a subculture. It just fascinates me. That interests me more than, let's say, a Lady Gaga concert. Like literally, I'd rather talk to you than Lady Gaga.
Thank you very much. I can relate somewhat to what you're saying, and I definitely went through that at a point in my life. I first moved to San Francisco in 1990, straight out of college, because I had a crush on a bartender at the Rawhide 2. And I scrapped all of my life plans to just move to San Francisco and see if maybe I could date this bartender. That was the beginning of my big gay hero's journey. And it was, 12 years that I lived in the city full time, pretty much, and worked as a bartender. I got very oversaturated with kind of like, I like to describe it. It was like working at Disneyland, and Disneyland needs to be there for all the people who love it. But when you work there, you realize that Space Mountain is just a roller coaster in the dark. And after a while, it loses its whatever the people who just go to Disney World or Disneyland once a year see about it.
It's almost like, then you don't want to leave work from Disneyland and go home and watch a Disney movie, or you don't want to go on vacation to Disneyland because you live in Disneyland.
So I needed to take a little break from it. And that was when I first moved out of the city and kind of into the country, in like the early 2000s. And since then, I really feel like my feelings about it have kind of come full circle. I can go back and enjoy it when I want to. I feel very happy and proud to be out. I came out in 1988, before a lot of the kids that don't even have to come out now were even born. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason I did that was so that maybe someday that could happen, and the kids could just be like, coming out? Do I really need to do that? So
I love all that.
I think I see both sides of it now.
Yeah. I know I come across just like, God, a bitter asshole. But you know what I mean? Sometimes, but like, sometimes that's how I express myself.
There's nothing wrong with being who you are.
As far as like the gay community, like, cause I'm constantly like, I'm like bashing on like gay pop culture and the gay bar music and gay role models and gay TV shows. It's just, I still to this day thank God for us. I think men of our age, I'm just this much younger than you, sounds like, for living a lot of our lives and coming out and protesting and marching and risking our lives at points. Nowadays, people can have out pop stars and people at award shows, and I just am a little bit bitter of it all because I just like the way you prefaced it with Disney. That's so I don't ever want to. I don't want to, like, on my days off, my nights off, I don't want to go to Disneyland. I just rather go do something that's sort of like not necessarily only gay culture, but just something that interests me without having to be LGBT focused. I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm saying. I'm just running at the mouth this morning. I just feel like the community sometimes is sort of very small, like of what's represented. And even today, 2025, I still don't find, I'm 53. I just like to say that a lot lately because I can't believe it. But I still don't find a niche or an area that's just like, oh, that's my people.
Well, that's interesting. If you were to imagine your people, like stumbling across that.
Yeah.
What would that look like?
Funny. It'd be like a whole bunch of probably like rock and roll fags that aren't drunks and aren't heavy into like the drug scene. Cause I think like sometimes the rock and roll party, you get the rock and roll image and that it has like the hard edge to it. So I want like a rock and roll community that love to be in nature, but also likes to go to farmers markets on the weekend and wear a black flag t-shirt, but then Birkenstocks that also likes as part of the gym community. Because some of these communities, I feel like if you're rock and roll, you don't do fitness. Fuck that. That's so dumb. So I feel like I'm just a little flavor of a lot of those sort of community arts fags. I don't like musicals, so I don't need that part of my community, which sometimes that's very important for like community. So I like a rock and roll, sober, farmer's market, black flag t-shirt, Birkenstock wearing people that love reality shows, but then I also want people that say smash your television. See, so I'm a little bit like torn and confused with my own description, I guess.
Well, okay, so you want when
I
you
want it
say,
all.
but like I guess what I'm hearing though is that you say you want like community, but what you're kind of outlining is an identity.
Okay.
Like you want to be surrounded by people who share your identity.
My interests, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe. It's also like because even coming from we'll go back and introduce you in a fucking hot minute. I realize people haven't even
I
been
think you did.
introduced to what
I think you
do.
did. All right. You read my Instagram bio.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it right there.
But do they know you're a mindfulness teacher? Is that what you call yourself?
I mean, I am a certified mindfulness teacher. I went to school and became a mindfulness teacher. So yes, that is like that is a thing that I am. That is an identity that I have. It's is it the most important part? No, probably not.
Gotcha. My need for a gay community as I've grown older, like you said, in Disneyland, I'm so glad for this there for the people that want to go, but my need to be submerged within it is very different. Like even when I lived in San Francisco, I was exposed to so much and I experienced so much and I was open-minded to it all, just like all the different communities, the Dyke March, the Dyke bars. I like the rock and roll clubs. I was exposed to, the leather bars, the bathhouse scenes, the club life. Like you're in San Francisco for like the tranny shack. So the drag shows. I've come through that, and a lot of people they see have a lot of tattoos. All of a sudden, they like probably think I'm like super into kink and bondage and like Folsom Street Fair and Door Alley. And I've come out of all my years in San Francisco with like very vanilla. Like I'm not part of the leather community. I'm not part of like kink community. I'm not part of like the sort of all these things I've experienced, which somehow sort of is just interesting to me that living through this very liberal, crazy, wild city like San Francisco, like nothing sort of hooked in. I mean, I've experienced them, explored them, but I came out of it kind of like, I don't fit any of those.
Well, I think, it comes back to what you were describing about the sort of the community that you would want to have is that a lot of other people have that same thing and community gets based around identity. So people identify with what they enjoy or what they believe or what they want or what they don't want. And then they begin to prefer the company of others who have those same preferences, beliefs, dislikes, whatever. And in a place like the Bay Area, or even I'm sure down in Southern California, which is where you're at now.
Yeah, I'm in San Diego.
Yeah, there's so many people that you can have these kind of niche things. And if you want, you can kind of dabble and then, like not be a part of it. But I think that what I've found is that underneath all of those identities, we are much more the same than we are different. All of us, from like my millennial women followers who live in Missouri and are married to a straight guy who drives a truck to the queerest queer followers. Like I have one of the things I've really loved about, I'm also a big music fan. And one of the things I've really loved about having a bigger social media following is that I meet all kinds of cool up and coming musicians who like, I'll just find that they followed me or I'll find that they'll show up in my feed. And I get to like right now there's this woman named Sky Daddy she's lesbian. She does this crazy kind of rap, what she calls it trauma core,
I can relate to the title. Okay.
Yeah. And she's, I don't know exactly how old she is. She's maybe like 21. She's got a girlfriend. She's so cute. I just absolutely adore her. Do I have anything in common with her? No. But I really feel like I just get her in a way that is like, it isn't about what we have in common. You know what I mean? That there are so many people right now that are looking for community, period, that just feel isolated by the scroll,
Oh
yeah. And we all know what that feels like, that zoning out. Yeah. You want that connection. And I feel like it's more than ever, kind of like reaching through those identities and into who we are, that 99, the other 99% of who we all are
Yeah.
is like what's most interesting to me.
Yeah, I guess a lot of probably my gripe, or I don't know, just sharing my thoughts, have probably a little to do with like projection of sort of my own sort of insecurities and stuff like that. I just feel like sometimes within the gay community, like everyone has to then, when they come out, they don't come outside of the box anymore. Then they kind of go to gay clubs or gay bar. I know there's safety in these places, but safe gay environments. But then I don't know. I feel like then they join the gay soccer club, and then they go to the gay rowing team, and then they listen to gay artists. I don't know. I find in my life, I don't know for what reason, like when I kind of step outside and just like if I have a filter on like what I'm looking to do or enjoy, like a lot of times I'll check queer because it'll focus it in on like our community. But sometimes when I take off the queer filter or I just find out so much more that's outside of the LGBTQ characters that
Right.
I don't know if I find more interesting, or am I just, I don't know. Yeah, it's just interesting. And I haven't thought this through. These are just like morning thoughts, kind of like morning. It's like a morning poop. I don't think about it. It just comes out. And like right now, I just woke up, but it's like, just morning thoughts. So I hope no one judges me. It's free flowing
No one's
verbal
judging you. No
diarrhea.
one's judging you. I think you kind of hit it on the head with, the projection thing. I mean, I've noticed this in my own
Oh,
life.
please. Yeah. I
We
know all my flaws.
definitely, it's not a fault. It's not a fault. We all do it. We all have, Jung called it our shadow, this side of us that we tuck things away in that we'd rather not deal with. And we wind up projecting those out onto other people. It's what we see in other people that we don't like. So we don't really have to. But here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with any of that. It's not like it can feel like maybe a problem or a fault or whatever. Also tucked in that shadow is all of your greatest potential, all of everything
Oh,
that you would love to be, but are afraid to try. Um, your wildest dreams are also in the mix of that same stuff. And when we start to see that, oh, there's nothing wrong with this, but what is this? This is
yeah.
something I do a lot when I coach people in mindfulness. It's like, okay, so what is that? No judgment. There's no judgment at all. It's really just, can you kind of look at those thoughts and feelings with curiosity and kindness? Say, it's interesting that comes up. What is that?
You are such a better person than me. Like I literally, like you're so kind, and like I feel like I've always sort of had, and I think a lot of people do, like sort of a superiority complex. And so when I do have these, like if it's projections or I'm trying to be like aware of things around me, so when I like do things that are outside of this what I clone the LGBT box, and I do things whether it's like music festivals or in San Diego I go to a gym that's not the gay gym. I find comfort that outside of them, and I do think I do have a superiority complex, because therefore when I'm in these other when the realms and I don't see other queer men, I'm just like I feel I do have this sense of like a little bit of like I judge other people for not coming outside the box. Hey, come out of the sandbox and play with me over here, or like. And I find myself. This is an FYI. I talk to people that for free therapy. I feel like I've talked to other mindful people, mindfulness and life coaches, and I'm always like, fuck, I am milking a free coaching session right now. So I, I've
Carry on.
I'm sorry if it sounds that way, but like I'm so weird. I mean everybody is, but I'm so like I feel like an odd duck always, but like find comfort being away from the gay community. And I wonder what that means. Like for instance, like, everybody loves gay naked beaches. I don't like them. I like to go to beaches that just like have just regular straight beaches where it's not just like this like condensed congregation of like gay men. I don't like those beaches. I don't like going to gyms that is like 95% gay men. I like to go to gyms that are just like regular people gyms. I feel less body conscious. I feel less conscious in general. So I mean there again lies probably my own stuff. But like I do find feels like more joy and comfort and self-confidence when I'm away from the gay community. And I don't know why that is. I mean, of course, I've been sort of always out. So, and, I'm proud to be out. So I'm not trying to come like self-loathing homophobic, self-homophobic, but like I do find comfort being away from specific places. And I'm not sure why that is.
Yeah. I mean, it's again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a preference.
Yeah.
I like this instead of that.
I get
It's not that big
yeah.
of a deal. One thing I notice you say a lot is, like the gay community. And I definitely get what you mean, but I also feel like there's such a huge, especially these days, the gay community is so many communities, like it's
Yeah.
really hard
Sure.
to even say that anymore.
Like, what does that mean? Like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like really, what does that mean? And I think for a lot of us too, and especially I'm like 6 years older than you. So, but for guys our age, we grew up in a time where there was just a lot of homophobia, like
Sure.
blatant, like the whole world was just very homophobic.
Right. It wasn't
Not as
open.
bad as it was probably for the guys just before, the generation just before
Yeah.
us, but still pretty bad. And I know I grew up with a ton of thoughts about what it meant to be gay and all kinds of shame and judgments and fear. And it's easy to kind of carry that forward because it can feel like such a part of who we are, such a part of our identity. I'm like, before I came out, for the first couple of years before I came out, I remember thinking, well, I could maybe be in a relationship with a guy if he was straight. Like that's kind of how
I
self-loathing
fucking understand
I
that
was.
so much.
Right?
I have very, 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 very strong straight men relationships that I love to death. So I sort of get that in a way.
Yeah.
They're sort of safe, and
And
then you
it
find those
holds
like
both
straight
sides
dudes
of
that are
that.
like super liberal and open and like comfortable with themselves to talk about like sex stuff and guy stuff. And, I talk girl stuff. There's just like love that. My straight boys, my bros, are so important to me.
Right. And I guess that's important to acknowledge that that's something you value. That's a kind of
Yeah.
relating to men. The other thing is that gender factors into this so heavily. What does it mean to be masculine? What does it mean to be a man? Sorry, I think I got
Is it a little curly cube hair? Come on.
No, it's not one of those.
Who's there? Who's with you? Okay.
I
Jen,
just recently had a friend come out to me as agender, which was something I had never really even thought about.
you repeat that. He says they came
He
out to you
came
as
out,
a gender, like A is
yeah,
the letter
yeah, yeah,
A.
yeah, yeah. I honestly don't know what their pronouns are.
Okay,
I don't.
does that
We
stand
didn't
for
have that.
asexual? No.
No, no, no. This was what was so interesting to me, and it. I learned a lot when he was talking to me about it. I also realized that I have probably been agender my whole life and never even thought about it, because in my mind, I had always equated gender with sex. Like I have man parts, there's hair on my face. I look like a man. I'm a man. And I never felt anything other than that, like I was in the wrong body.
Sure.
But I also didn't really have any sense of being a masculine person.
Right.
And there was this, like, it always felt performative to me to do masculinity, to do guy stuff. And I got very good at it. And I actually went to school for theater and became even better at it.
Sure.
But
the mask outfit, yeah.
Yeah, it's a mask. Exactly. After talking to this friend of mine, I realized it was a mask for him too. And I was like, I feel very comfortable saying, yeah, I am agender. I do not feel like a gender has ever really felt like a natural part of who I am. And it doesn't have, I still have a sexual preference that is separate from that.
Sure.
And I have a biological sex that is separate from that. But all of these things weave together in our preferences for how we express ourselves and then the kind of community we most enjoy.
Yeah.
So it's a rich tapestry.
No, you're 100% right. And I have find myself like finding like, I don't know if it's me because I'm a little bit older. I have found myself having like some like these conservative thoughts with like pronouns and gender conversations and, and like I've even slipped in these thoughts. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's like awful and closed-minded. Like Like, even when you were talking, like, I have these thoughts that I'm fighting and I have to think about that. I'm like, why reinvent the wheel? Like, why keep reinventing the wheel? Um, it's just something I catch myself thinking, and I'm like, okay, why am I like so shut down to the idea of things are changing and growing, and with gender and sexuality and identification and pronouns. So I have find myself easily slipping into the bitter category. I was like, fucking, hey, come on. Why do we need to reinvent the wheel? But it is interesting. It is a very colorful tapestry. Just even with like within the realms of talking about like gender and stuff like that, like the word queer to me lately is something that I've always loved and identified with. But now I've sort of turned the corner and I'm starting to like not enjoy the word queer as much. I used to feel like queer was like a subculture of gay people that were like not the mainstream guys. It was like it was just like a subculture. Queer was like the radical fairies and like I don't know. And so now queer, someone said this once and people berated me for it, but I was like, they said, I feel like hipsters took over queer. Queer now is just like, if you're like the cool person with like one feather dangly earring, I'm queer. It has nothing. So the word queer and identification and all the things I see from the outside changing and like evolution, the conversations and the definitions. And sometimes I'm like, I don't agree with some of the young kids that are changing the definitions, and I'm trying to just figure out like, am I just old and grumpy, or is that just the way the world is? Because like the word queer specifically, someone recently wanted to get in a fight with me because there's a person who identified as a lesbian, and then all of a sudden now she's dating a guy, and so she's possibly bisexual, and like, and then this younger person, I think it was a gentleman in his 20s, was like, well, that's what queer means. Queer means bi and polyamorous. And I was like, what? I was like, it's just confusing sometimes, like redefining a term, like when in my mind, it's like set in stone. Like queers are those people that hang out at like South of Market and the Mission dive bars. They're not the Castro queers. They're the South of Market bars. Motherfucker.
You have a lot of different queer bins in your mind.
I do. I'm a lot. I need therapy for sure. It's on my to-do. It's on my to-do list. It's not a priority.
If you feel like you want to go to therapy, it'll happen when it's right. I wouldn't worry
use
about
my
that.
French. I put in the effort and I found a therapist, and I went probably like 6 months ago, and I'm like, yes, my husband was so proud of me because he's just been wanting me to work on things in life. And I freaking had 2 sessions with my therapist, and it just didn't work. I felt like he was a robot reading off. It was like an online thing. He was like a robot, and like he wasn't quite listening. He was just making sure he asked the 5 questions on his sheet to check off so he could like get paid. And it was just like, and I just honestly, it was like a gut feeling, and I stopped. So anyways, I tried. Eric, I tried. I tried.
I did it twice with one guy who was like a robot, and it doesn't work.
Yeah. And then I felt bad because I did open up my whole world to him. I like just put it on the table, and I was like, I don't want to open up all those wounds again. So I'm like, I'll circle back to trying to find a therapist later.
Yeah. Hey, that's how it goes. I had a fantastic therapist in my 30s.
Eric.
Back when I was a little kid in the 30s.
You look great.
Before the Second World War. When I was in my 30s, I went to therapy for a couple of years, and it was hugely transformative for me. I definitely needed it. And I had a great therapist, and he really helped. He was a ex-Jesuit priest, but man, he was the best listener. And he really like created a space for me. Because here's the thing I've found is that what most of us really want is for somebody to tell us how to get what we want. So we go to therapy and be like, oh, I would rather not feel this, this, and this, and I would rather feel that, that, and that, and I'd rather not have this, and I'd rather have that. But ultimately, if we can stop kind of with that vision of how it should be and turn that awareness toward what's here, not why is it here so much as just what's here. What is this? What are these thoughts? What is this? These feelings? What's here? Because it will reveal itself, and it's making the space for it starts to allow transformation in a way that I think a lot of us want to like push and pull on.
I know people want
can work.
Yeah, I know a lot of people want like a quick fix. Like but they want to go to therapy once or twice, and like they don't realize it could possibly be like ongoing for years, and like it requires work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It can.
tell me a little bit about the work you do, like with I was gonna say customers, with clients, with customers, the work you do with clients. Like, how do people find you? Like, what type of people find you? Are you do things online? Is it in person? Is it a combination of both?
These are all great questions. I do meet with people online for mindfulness coaching and as what I like to call a hero's journey guide, because I've found in my own life that the two things that were most important for answering the question, who am I, were mindfulness and the hero's journey. The hero's journey, are you familiar with the hero's journey?
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna be
It's
honest. The phrase, yes, but
yeah.
If would I be able to describe to somebody? No.
Okay. Yeah. It's the oldest basically story model that we have. It's the story of Jesus is a hero's journey. The story of the Buddha is a hero's journey. It's a story of finding out who you are. And it has certain beats. It has, like the ordinary world, like in Tatooine where Star Wars starts, it's like, oh, something is wrong. This isn't quite right. Yeah. And then the hero is off trying to find out who they are through a journey in life. And that takes them through dark caves, through all kinds of transformations. They meet helpers. They learn things about themselves. They go through a change where they learn who they are through being who they are and seeing the world as the challenge that can show them who they are. And then they return to the ordinary world in the end, transformed, and they bring the gift of knowing who they are back to the place where they left. And my great aunt, was a Broadway actress and was nominated for an Academy Award in the 80s. She gave me the best advice I've ever gotten, which was after I graduated as an actor from college, and I wanted to move to LA and take her class and start auditioning and all that. She said, don't do that. Go out and live your life like a hero's journey. And then take what you learn about yourself. And if you want to, one day bring it back to the theater.
And you went to San Francisco and was a whore.
I was actually not a whore. I went to San Francisco because I was so head over heels for this guy.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No. I
digress.
No. It's totally fine. And long story short, ended up taking her advice. And instead of going to LA, I was like, I'm going to go see where this all goes. And we did wind up dating, and we left San Francisco together, and we bought a small sailboat and sailed it down through the Panama Canal to Florida. It took us 2 years to do that.
You're the exact fucking person that I love to talk to. You're just doing cool shit.
But what I'm saying is this hero's journey is the way that it's a secular path to knowing who we are in a deep, non-conceptual way.
I saw the phrase I read earlier, like self-compassion. Does self-compassion come into this?
Absolutely. Self-compassion comes into the way I teach mindfulness.
I wrote the word self-compassion down because I thought it was like sort of like an overlying concept that threads through a whole bunch of different areas of the work you do.
It does.
Okay.
It does.
Okay.
For me, it's been key and one of the hardest things to get with, because I was always a pusher and a puller and very much about being in control. I want to make this happen. Like I'm going to make this happen. It's going to work out.
Well, part of that attitude is good. I mean, I feel like because I'm similar, but then because I know the other people that are polar opposites, but they don't have any of that, and then they don't make shit happen. So I feel like there's a healthy amount of that.
Yes. Self-compassion is what was really the key to finding the healthy balance.
Okay.
And self-compassion I have 3 keys to the way I teach mindfulness: curiosity, self-compassion, and gentleness. So curiosity is a way for us to take that monkey mind, the one that's always going, I love this, I hate this, I want more of this, I don't like that, I don't need to do this, and I never want to do that again. And we're always just like, and we think those thoughts are us. It's like it's like there's someone inside your head facing backwards, watching your life on a screen and commenting on it the whole time.
Yeah.
that sense of living in your head.
Anytime I've tried to calm down, whether it's the yoga class or meditation, and you just have to sit with yourself and not move, try to not have those monkeys swinging from vine to vine. That's 3 minutes. Right. I almost lost my mind.
Yeah. And most of us are the same way.
It kind of goes right into something I wrote down earlier. I was watching all your videos where you're like walking with your dogs, and I find myself going to nature when I want to calm down, or the ocean specifically. But sometimes when I'm out there, I feel like it's so quiet, it gives me almost a panic attack. I go out to the wild and I'm just like, this is amazing. I'm in the woods. I'm by myself. I turn off my devices. And I think the silence almost, it gives me anxiety. Is that common or weird? I've done that recently where I'm like away from everything, by myself, in the silence, no influx of music. I left my earbuds at home, and I actually I had this enormous amount of anxiety that came over me.
Yeah. That's not unusual. That happens to a lot of us.
Okay.
It's really being confronted by that sense of your thoughts being who you are. And we just take it for granted that both the person talking and the person listening in our head are both us. And we're just constantly having this conversation with ourselves all day. And that's who we are. And the things we decide that we are. And the things we decide we're not. And that these all mean something. And what mindfulness does is it says, what is that? Just what is that? And
the skeptic of me sometimes says, it's fucking so stupid. Like I have a skepticism of sort of thought sometimes. So when I hear all this mindfulness talking, sometimes I'm like, I just want to roll my eye.
But what is so stupid? The thoughts or the mindfulness?
The mindfulness. No, I get it and I understand it. No, but I get it. I'm like, oh, this like stupid. Ugh. Like, what is it? Like this mindfulness talk, and it's just another thought that I fight in my head. That I'm like, hey, this is so stupid. Like, it's just like for hippie talk. Like, what is it? Like, because you can't necessarily sink your fingers into it, or it frustrates me, Eric, motherfucker. And I flip the table.
But it is a path.
Makes me mad.
To knowing something deeply that you can't sink your fingers into, but you don't care because you know it more deeply than something you could sink your fingers into. And this is where I see that curiosity is the key, because it takes that monkey mind and it puts it good use. Instead of going this and that and that and this and this and that, and I want, and why? We can go, what is this? And when we start to ask that question gently, what is this? Who am I? With real curiosity, but not like a judgmental curiosity, like a self-compassionate curiosity. Imagine like your person you love the most, or even your cat. Imagine your cat who you absolutely have complete and utter compassion for.
I would kill for it, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine treating your own mind, your own sense of self, like you would treat your cat. That's self-compassion. The sense of the felt sense that we're all in this together.
As soon as you brought in the cat, I understood it. I'm like, okay, I know I love nothing more than my cat. It's okay.
Yes, treat yourself the way you would treat your cat.
I hate myself.
I get it. I get it. But here's
the aging. This is a question I want to ask you. Like, instead of like a lot of ways, getting older has been wonderful, but sometimes now, like I've gotten to the categories like older. Like I'm coming out of the ocean and I got out of my 20s and 30s. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I'm feeling better about myself. I'm feeling confident. I'm healthy, thankfully, but then all of a sudden I turn around, there's this wave of aging has come back and like, oh fuck, I thought I was already out of the ocean. And then you look back and there's this huge wave and it says, now it's like, you're fucking old. And I'm like, oh, so that's interest. That's where I'm at in my life these days, sort of like embracing it, but then fucking hating it.
Yeah.
But embracing it and preaching to other people that they should love it. But
that's like what we were talking about before, that kind of like that balance between projecting and like pushing away. It's like, well, I want to love this, but there is something here that is not loving this.
Yeah.
Again, that's where self-compassion really comes in. You can see both sides of that. And this is what mindfulness practice really is. It's not about like turning off your mind or any kind of hippy dippy anything. It's really just taking the faculties that we all have the curiosity of the mind, the compassion that exists in an open heart, and the gentleness to combine them into just looking at what's happening. What is this?
That's big and simple, but big and simple.
It's very simple, but it's not easy.
When and what? When did you find out this about yourself, that this is something that you wanted to do? Are good at it? Because I have a feeling, and from talking to you, I feel better already in 40 minutes. But like, when did you decide, or when did it kind of come to you that this sort of work is something that you might be good at, or something you choose to do?
That's a great question. Let me tell you a story. And let's see, 19, I had been a voice actor for 8 years professionally, and things were starting to change in the industry, and I was working a little less, and I had some big clients kind of screw me over, and I started to think, well, what do I want to do next for work? I saw the writing on the wall that being a voice actor was not going to be something that lasted forever. And so I thought, well, I'll do a podcast. I had done podcasts before. My first podcast was for the San Francisco AIDS Foundation in 2003. I think I did the
OG. That's like OG podcasting. Yeah.
Yeah. I did the AIDS Life Cycle webcast, and then I did the AIDS Foundation's actual like bi-weekly podcast for them. So I had done podcasting. I thought, well, what would I do? I thought, well, maybe, my mom had always had a hard time sleeping. Thought maybe I'll just read bedtime stories, because like I have a good sleepy bedtime story voice.
And it's perfect.
Thank you.
Like nothing's perfect, but I feel like you're like right there. It's so soothing.
So I started to do that, and it kind of took off. And then I thought, well, I would really like to add meditations to this. COVID came around, and I thought, well, it's a great time to take an online course. So I got my certification as a mindfulness teacher so that I could start making meditations for the podcast. Then I met somebody who really kind of helped me take all of this and put it together in a way that changed who I took myself to be. Changed. And it's like I just kind of cracked open. And I realized that this journey of the hero's journey and mindfulness combined had brought me right to the edge. And then this friend of mine just said, hey, you can just let go. You don't have to fight you don't have to fight life. You don't have to fight.
Gotcha.
You can just let go. And
that's interesting, because it is sort of an approach sometimes I myself take, like, oh, fuck. Before I get out of bed, I'm like, oh, how am I going to fight this day? Instead of like live this day, it's like, how am I going to survive this day? I mean, that's dramatic, but it is of like almost a daily first thought. Instead of living the life, how am I going to put on my
that was about 3 years ago. That was about 3 years ago. And that's really when it all kind of came together. Everything I had learned over, 40, 50 years of being an adult, and what I had learned about mindfulness, what I had learned about myself, what I had learned about just the nature of who I am. And so about 2 years ago, about a year after that, I started writing about it, and I wrote a book, and it's coming out in the spring.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. That's exciting. And it completely makes sense. Yeah. It was funny. One of the questions I wrote down here, I love hearing the journey of how it happened. I said, I was going to ask you about your background, and in true my form, I said, who the fuck do you think you are to give, in actual words, like, who the fuck do you think you are to give advice to people? And by that, I mean, there's a lot of people online these days, because online is such a platform, to like all of a sudden just like calling themselves, I'm a media personality, I'm a coach. And I'm not really specific, and I want to believe them all, but like sometimes maybe not you specifically, but just in general, I see these people and I'm like, who the fuck are you? The things you could just start calling yourself this and giving advice, offering things, like,
well, so and you said you're skeptical.
Who the fuck do you think you are?
I think,
Erik?
I think being skeptical is a good thing. And I love that question. And I would tell you that I don't give advice to anyone. As a matter of fact, I get people who ask me for advice all the time, especially young people. They're like, I am up against this thing. Can you please give me some advice? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't do advice, but I can point you toward your own answers. And that's really what my work is. That's what my book is. Everything I do online is really just pointing people toward their own answers. I never give advice. I don't have any advice to give.
Right. That's interesting because I do think that sometimes because the world is flooded with self prophecies or like I don't know, and people with large followings, and so I just sort of I'm a skeptic by nature, so
Me too.
It's always interesting to be like, okay, well, I want to know your story and how you got here today and all that. So,
and trust me, nobody is more surprised than me by my large following.
Dude. And you know what's also, this goes back to fear of ordinary fucking life and how I'm always looking for queer people doing cool shit or just different shit is because you're also doing really great stuff and seem to be thriving, and you're also aren't having to do it shirtless. And I only bring that up because there's so many times I've criticized artists. People have gotten mad at me because I'm like, is the only way for you to get popularity or a following or likes or clicks is if like you stand in front of your painting naked, or you stand in front of, or your music videos, you're naked, or if you're a theater person, you have to do like some risque naked theater to get like attention. So it's that something's really cool, and I don't think I've ever even seen your chest, and you're still doing cool stuff, even though I've never seen your chest or nipples. You know, your content scroll, like I swear to God, I'm very basic and so like and shallow, and so like usually anytime I find somebody's page, any men, no matter what field, I'm like go to their, then I flip through because I want to see him shirtless. It's my first thought is I want to see him shirtless. I want to see what his dick looks like. So the fact that you're thriving and your content isn't all just thirst traps is, I think, amazing. I feel like it takes a different sort of strength or journey to get there without just showing your tits for success. I don't know.
Well,
clearly I have issues with the gay community, but sometimes I feel like I just
what?
That
it's okay. It's okay. Here's the thing: the gay community is going to be what it's going to be. Your issues are not. So you're not hurting anyone in the gay community with your issues. But I would say for your own, since you mentioned it, that if you just, like treat yourself like your cat.
Should I take a fucking chill pill?
And no, don't take a chill pill. Be who you are. Be who you are. You don't need to chill, but just ask yourself, what is that?
Yeah.
What is that? And not the answer is not a judgment. The answer isn't going to come in the form of a, well, Mike, you need to do this and you need to do that and you're to this and you're to that and you're not enough of this. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, what happens if you just settle into it and don't look for an answer so much as just let that question hang? It starts to ease up the whole sense of like, I am anything. And it allows just some space. And that space is what allows us to kind of connect more deeply, both with ourselves and with others. And then all of a sudden, the whole texture of what life is starts to change.
That's good. So another thing I'm practicing in, because I'm sort of an anxious person, is like a lot of people when they're having conversations, myself included, like I don't listen fully because I'm getting ready for my comment back. And so like today I've been really focused on like things you're saying. And so it's sort of been helping me like just work on some of my own things instead of like give me time to absorb what you're saying before I'm like already preparing my thoughts. So this is beautiful, man. Bro, this is beautiful. And so I have two last questions because I don't think people like to watch these like forever long podcasts or listen to them. And this was another question that just popped into my little brain. I was looking at some of your videos and you're walking in nature and they're so peaceful and you seem so happy and talking about mindfulness. And then I was thinking about what if people out there that are in their daily life are always struggling with like poverty, housing, financial issues, relationship issues. And I was thinking, this is a deep question. It could probably be a whole podcast, but like I was thinking like, is mindfulness like a privilege for people? Like, is mindfulness something everybody can achieve?
Absolutely.
Because I was trying to think. I think I was that was just this thought that came to my mind. And I wrote it down. I was like, is mindfulness, I feel like, a privilege for anybody who's like comfortable with their like financial living situations, but I feel like there's people like if they don't have security of finances or relationship or houses, it just would be, I feel like it would be more challenging to like find
Absolutely.
mindfulness.
Yeah. Of
Crazy,
course it
right?
would be. Of course it would be. And you know what's on one of the strangest things about being on social media right now is going from like a dance video to somebody who's shirtless to kids in Gaza. And we're all watching this being live cast to us. So it's a great question and fair to ask. If you are starving in Gaza and being shot at, or if you are an Israeli who is a hostage, it doesn't matter which side you're on there, you're suffering in a unique way where mindfulness is not going to end your suffering. But here's the thing. Mindfulness offers us a way to move out of the extra suffering that the story in our mind adds to whatever our actual situation is. We all suffer in life. The Buddha said life is suffering. It's a transcription, basically. But the gist of it was life is suffering. But life is suffering. But he also said that nirvana and samsara are the same thing. So that going to another place is not what nirvana is. It's all right here. It's in how do we address that suffering. And mindfulness gives us tools and the skills to better address our own suffering. For example, I am able to do more for others when I'm not so wrapped up in my own suffering. Because we all see that people with incredible privilege or people who are billionaires can be a complete and utter mess and just be screwing up the world so much worse. Well, what if they weren't? What if they weren't suffering so much? What if they had a more open heart and said, oh, I could use this opportunity to be present with others? So will it heal the world? No. Is it a somewhat of a like, am I privileged? Absolutely. You know, like I am a white guy who lives in the United States, but that's not me. I'm just lucky. That was the way it happened. And I know that. I know I'm no different than that kid in Gaza or in Russia or in North Korea or in Africa. I just got lucky. But I also know that by helping people see through their own suffering and find more peace and purpose in their life on their own terms, not my advice, not do it my way. I don't have any prescriptions. I just have some tools that I can share that worked for me and a space that we can be in together where nobody's getting judged.
I know I big questions, but just
it's a good one.
I like that sort of just. I usually like from these interviews, I'm sort of funny because I don't like to. This is going to sound weird, but like I don't like to over prepare. I like to spend a good hour researching and then sort of like spontaneous of like just what's literally coming out of my mind at that moment after listening to sort of some of the answers you give. But there is one question that I like to ask everybody, and it is, what are your fears or some of your fears, or maybe you have none, about aging? What do you have fears about aging? Like, I feel like you're somebody that really probably handles them very well.
Yeah.
It's one thing, like, we all have these ideas or fears about aging, whether, 20, 30, 40, 50.
I think I have the fears about aging that, like my dad passed away last spring of cancer. And yeah, thank you. And I think that's not fun. I wouldn't, nobody wants that. And so I'd say I have a normal amount of fear of that. I also don't I don't have a lot of fear, but more than any fear I have about aging is I feel like even with my dad dying, and this might sound weird, but this year has been the best year of my life so far. It's not getting worse. It's just getting better. And I feel like that has to do with being fully in it, the grief, the sadness, the anger, the fear, the happiness, the joy. And my hope is that I continue to be fully present in my own life and the lives of those that I love in a way that that continues right up until it's just over and this
yeah.
body dies, and that's the end of that.
I love all of that. I just like the energy you encompass, and I like your ideas. If I was walking down the street and you pull up in a bus and we're like, "Get in, kid," I would be like, "I want in on whatever he's doing." Our conversation today, whether it's just an hour, it's been so like helpful for me on a much deeper level than just like, I'm going to put this on YouTube. So yeah, that's awesome. It's cool to see that you're doing things from the heart to help other people that also fulfills yourself in your life. It's just very cool. And I feel like
Thanks,
you have
Mike.
stories. You dropped a couple stories that I want to get into. Maybe we can even chat another time, just when you were talking about sailing a boat. And I was like, what? Like, but I want to know I don't even want like a blip Cliff Notes version of it right now. I like want to talk about.
If you scroll down, I'll give you a little Easter egg. If you scroll down to my Happy Pride video from a couple years ago, there's a couple of quick pictures of me and the guy who I met in San Francisco on our boat back when we were both in our 20s. And that was kind of funny. When I posted that video a couple of years ago, I lost 35,000 followers in like 3 days.
For what?
For one Happy Pride video.
There was like queer joy, queer pride, or just
yeah. And it really made me realize that every once in a while I need to do a little follower cleanse with something like that.
Yeah.
Like, oh wait, you thought I was the Duck Dynasty guy? No, I'm not him.
Man, that's fucking awesome. That's amazing. So when and where, not when, where can people, what's the best place for people just to follow what you're up to, updates about your upcoming book release? And if they ever they want to talk to you or like book a session or.
Sure. Yeah. That's all I have like a little link tree kind of website thing at erikireland.com, ERIKIRELAND.com. And then the podcast is at Listen to Sleep.
That is fine. I listened to a bunch of it earlier today, and it's my day off, so I might listen to one of your. I started listening to Seed That Slept for 1,000 Years, and yeah, I might listen to that a little bit later for my nap. And it's so amazing, like even talking to you today, like when we jump back to like your figure, a person that I known your face for a long time, just from living in geographically similar areas, but it's so funny that now I know what's inside there and your path and your journey, what you've done, and more of who you are. And it's like, it's just so exciting. It also makes me open up my mind for like being less judgmental for other people, because I'm quick to I don't know, I'm quick to judge a book. I'm usually conscious of it, so I'll like have that initial thought, but I'm like, now it's just interesting. Like, I had no idea you were like a decent person. I had no idea. I think the worst of people. I think that's a thing that I'm learning. I think the worst of people, and maybe I should think the best of people until I know different. But like, I had no idea you were a decent, cool person.
Well, thanks, Mike. You're a decent and cool person too. Really, it was nice spending an hour with you.
Yeah, let's talk another time too. I have a lot to talk about, and I'm going to look forward to editing this video. But let's keep in touch.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, bye.
Take care.